The first question, in the Christian church, a man and a woman are officially married by a minister or priest. How does a Buddhist man and woman become officially married? Please explain. In the Buddhist canon, a Sangha member, a monk, for example, cannot act as a middleman in a marriage. In other words, he should not be signing. There's something to sign. I mean, in a wedding, in a marriage, you have a witness, and the government authorize certain people, ministers, priests, to sign papers about a marriage, to witness it. But according to the Buddhist canon, the Buddhist precept, a Sangha member, a monk, cannot be the go-between. So a monk should not serve as a middleman, or the marriage should not be administered by a monk. It's against the precept. What's the logic behind it then? I think what's more important is to tell you what's the reasoning behind it than just telling you no. We don't do it like that. I think the most important is the logic behind it. Logic is, when a man and a woman gets in love, there's so many possibilities. They could be madly in love, they could be foolishly in love, they could be ephemerally in love, they could be eternally in love, or they could be looking for a one-year stand, or a tried out, or cohabitation. I mean, when they love each other, is it really true love, or it's true love on the surface is actually the sexual appeal that's the main thing? Or are there any intentions behind the mind of this couple? Maybe I'm just creating scenarios. Maybe the man is an 80-year-old senior, and the woman is an 18-year-old beauty. Oh, that happens. Why? Because the 80-year-old had a total estate estimated to be 100 million. So the 18-year-old said, well, that's what I'm looking for, wealth. I don't care. Well, he's 80 now, and he's not going to live until 100, so I have another 20 years to go, then I'll become 38. I can be remarried at 38 with 100 million estates. Right now, I'm only a secretary working for $12 an hour. That's a menial pay. That's not a respectable pay. I don't like it. So there's so many intentions behind it. And also, we cannot see through the karma of this marriage. Some man is married to a woman, or some woman is married to a man because the woman in her previous life was hurt by the man, and the woman in this life came back to get him, to get even. One repayment of debts, one repayment of emotional liabilities. There's so many liabilities, not just money, not just monetary liability, the debit and credit. Liability is always in a credit position. So you own them something. But not just money, sometimes emotions. If you're owning emotions, you're in trouble. Because he would be the wife that wouldn't cook for you. He would be the wife that would be committing adultery. And he would be the wife who does not know how to teach children. And no. You regret for having a wife like that. So there's so many possibilities in the outcome of a marriage. I still remember when I attended the marriage back in the early 1970s. My fellow students, a young man and a young woman, third year university, expecting to graduate next year, and they couldn't wait. They want to go to City Hall to get a marriage certificate. So they have a ceremony to do, and of course everybody dressed nicely. And I was invited to be one of the members in it. So we went through the ceremony, and all the fellow students, 12 or 13 together, witnessed the signing, the signature, and all that. And I look at the magistrate, the judge, and when the judge was performing this recitation of phrases from the Bible or from books about, you have to, I can't remember those phrases. You have to love him until you die, and something like that, and then you won't forsake him in the winter, in the summer, in the spring, and a lot of conditions. Through thick and thin, you won't forget, you will forgive him for what he has done wrong to you, and you will always be protecting her, and things like that. And the judge was doing this doing a rigmarole of a language. It's just like he could as well turn on the tape recorder and then he shut up, because he did that every day for 16, 20 times. He becomes senseless. And we were joking. If we know this judge, we would ask him, "What do you feel when you perform this kind of ceremonies?" I don't know. Maybe they last a month or 2 or 3 or 1 year. Sometimes the probability of these people going through more than 20 years is almost like 0. So it's become so routine. So as monk, we don't perform that. And of course, when we talk about a marriage, we always talk about something that is related to it, the opposite of it. That is divorce. There's procedures for divorce, Same as procedures for marriage. And I read a book, and I still remember that book is the best I have, which means that the best author in North America is going to, over the world, is contributing what he or she consider as her best essay. So there was a lady in Jerusalem, and she was having a divorce with her husband, and she went through all these routines, and it was quite an experience going through that. So there's divorces and marriages, and we don't know the outcome. We don't know the consequences. We don't know the intentions. Whether the intentions are pure and impure, we don't know. So how can we act as someone who witnessed something that we don't know? That's the logic behind it. And also, we are advocating celibacy in the Sangha order. If you are tied up in a cocoon of a family, it's just similar to the cocoon that the caterpillar is in. You're born inside it. You cannot practice. Because when you have a family, so when you start out with yourself as a teenager, and then you go to university, and then you have a dating, and then you plan on a marriage, and you get married, and then you have kids, and when you have kids, then you start to worry about the health of the baby, and you get up late, early in the morning, and late at night to feed the baby. All these things go through all the intricacies of life. You may not like it, and that would take away a lot of the time that you should be assigned for practice, for salvation, for liberation. Then you don't have that. So a marriage binds you, I think. I think there's a word, and I have to utter the Chinese word first. 結婚係愛情嘅墳墓嚟嘅，結婚是愛情的墳墓。So that means marriage is the grave of love. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's enough for this question. I don't want to go on. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Well, in the meditation hall, you talk about suffering. Is it right to assume that when you get older, you go through, you experience more suffering and you are wiser? Well, if when you get older, you get wiser, let me make a suggestion. In our next general election, when we elect the Prime Minister, why don't we go to the nursing home to pick one? Wouldn't it be easier? Oh, who are the oldest in the nursing home? You're 100, you're 102, 103. Okay, let's pick the 103 to come out as the candidate for the next Prime Minister. Because if going by age suggests a wiser mental attitude, then we just choose the most senior to be the Prime Minister. Not necessarily true that if you're getting older, you're getting wiser. Sometimes when you're getting older, you're getting more obstinate. You don't want to change. How can you teach an old dog new tricks? There's a saying that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So don't go by that assumption. And don't assume that also, thinking on a parallel line, don't assume that the more you read about the Buddhist books, the more intelligent you would be, the more enlightened you would be. If just by reading sutras, then you become enlightened, then all the professors are already the Buddha. They spend their lives reading. They're just academics. They bury themselves in the ivory of the academic environments. They don't practice. I know professors who specialize in Buddhism and became so good at it, so eloquent, so articulate in it, that he's become very famous. But when I talk with him in certain discussions and I understand more, his whole family is Christian. He does not believe in the Buddha. He's just treated as a philosophy. So, how can you say that being wise, being older will be wiser, and reading more and more and more will be enlightened? Just by reading wouldn't get you enlightened. You have to practice it. And also, in the Hinayana approach to Buddhism, there are the two kinds of Hinayana saints who become successful in Hinayanas. One is the Stravakas, the other is the Pratyeka Buddhas. The Stravakas, in the Chinese language, is Singman. The Stravakas, they have to listen to lectures and read books and practice to become enlightened. The Pratyeka Buddhas, no. They did not live in a world where Buddhism is prevalent, where you have readings of sutras, where you have sutras and abhidhammas. They just enlightened by what? By self-meditation. They just watched what happened, and they get enlightened. When they saw flowers in the wintertime, well, in the springtime, they saw flowers blossoming and in prosperity, and they were meditating. Oh, these flowers are beautiful. And then another month, snow comes, and they say, oh, now these flowers, or autumn comes, the flowers are dropping. And they understand immediately life and death. In other words, they get enlightened through environments, through what happens in front of their eyes, instead of through just reading. And they become enlightened that way too. Okay, next question. Is karmic debt reward absolute in its predetermination of an earthly existence, or is there a balance between karma and free will? And if there is, where is it? And how does an individual find or approximate it? So the question is there a balance between karma and free will? I don't quite follow what you mean, so I have to make assumptions. When you say there's a balance between karma and free will do you mean that there's no karma? There's nothing that has no karma. Now, if you mean that free will is you can do anything you want without subject to any causation, any karma, then you're wrong. Everything that you do, every word that you utter, every thought is subject to karma. Every thought creates energy, and when it creates energy, it's subject to karma. Nothing is not dominated by karma. Sometimes karma could be good karma, it could be bad karma, it could be neutral karma. Not every karma is bad, you know. Not everything you do is bad. Sometimes you do good things, that creates good karma. You're compassionate, then you have the karma of compassion. So when you say there's a balance between karma and free will, I don't quite follow. Free will, yes, you are free to do what you want, but whatever you have done, whatever you have thought, whatever you have spoken, would be subject to causation and karma. You can't get away with it. In other words, actually, strictly speaking, you're not free. You are not free. You are free in what you're doing, but you get bound by it. You will suffer because of what you have done. You have to bear the consequences of it. You're not free in that case. You're not liberated yet from reincarnation. You still live in that bondage. You still go through samsara life. We all have a samsaric life. So how can you have free will? Yes?
Free will is karma-driven. Free will is a delusion.
Yeah, free will. Free will. What is free will? Free will dilutes you. You think you are free? Yeah, you are free to do bad things, but then karma would get you. When we are in this body, we're not free. I still remember when I studied French literature during the French Revolution. There is a philosopher, I forgot his name, Russell, or I forgot his name. He said, they talk about freedom everywhere, but I saw everybody in chains. I forgot that name, the name of that. It's interesting to know that name. So that French philosopher said, yeah, you talk about freedom, but everybody is in chain. He implies a lot of things. Not just in chains, in material chain, in the iron chain, your mental chain. The mental, you're living with that mentality changed you. That ego imprisoned you. When you have an ego imprison you, that your own ego, how can you be free? It's only by crumbling the ego wall, then you are free. Imagine if you have a wall surrounding you. That's what we call ego, right? Ego. And you only have certain space to exercise, certain space to be free, but you're not free. But the ignorance is, but the main important thing is, you're not free in there. Yes, we are not free. But do you know that we can be free? You're living within that ego wall of yours. And do you know that if that wall crumbles down, you're free? That's what we want. We want to be free. We're not free now, but you want to be free. We want to be free. If you want to be free, the first thing you do is you got to be interested in freeing yourself. If you find yourself so comfortable in that prison, how can you ever be free? You don't even know there's freedom outside. You've been a frog living in a well, restricted to the view of the sky. You're a little frog in that well, and you think that, oh, that's the sky. The sky is only that shape. It's only a circular shape. But the sky is not circular shape. It's just you've been restricted by your view, that little frog. And one day there was a big frog who fell into the well, and they talked about philosophy. The bigger frog said, have you seen the sky? Oh, of course, every day I've seen the sky. It's a circular shape. And the big frog laughed, said, oh, the sky is circular shape? The sky is unlimited. No, I don't believe you. How can the sky be unlimited? It's only that you have seen it that you do know the sky is unlimited. So actually, you think you're free? You're not free. But you wanted to be free, though. Do you want to be free? If we don't want to be free, we can stop it right here. But you want to be free. So how do you do? What do you do if you want to be free? Remember, this ego prison is not all sealed up with every brick unobstructed. There's windows, the little holes in there. There's windows in it. Or sometimes, if you're interested, then you try in every way to chisel it to make sure that, hey, can I get this ego prison wall crumble down? So maybe you don't have a window. Okay, you open up a small window and you look outside. Wow, there's another space outside. What's the analogy of this? I have seen the Buddha's teaching. Oh, that's the view. I can be more free than living in this prison. You start to be interested in getting out. The first ray of sunlight comes in, the sunlight of freedom, illuminates that little 1 inch of your eye hole in the prison, and you feel delighted. Yeah, I came to the temple for meditation. I sat for half an hour and I got so peaceful. That's your little hole that's been opened up for you. You've seen it. You have a glimpse. You have a glimpse of that freedom because you meditated in that temple. You have a glimpse. But is that all? You don't want just a glimpse. You want to be all free. So you look for it. You look for the freedom. That's the objective of your whole life, looking for freedom. You get it. People in France in the 1800s, they struggled in the French Revolution, and finally they got Louis XVIII onto the guillotine. They reformed the whole country and they become free. They become free. Do you want to be free? Your choice. Your choice to be free or not. If that is a balance between that, where is it? And where is it? It's an interesting question sometimes to say, where is it? You don't have to look anywhere. You've got it. Don't look anywhere. You've got it. And I repeat it again, if you don't understand. You've got it. Where is it? It's here. It's right in your mind. You want to be free? You work at it. You have that mind to be free. Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. The mind becomes the Buddha, you can be the Buddha. The mind wants to go to hell, then you go to hell. So where is it? Don't look anywhere. You've got it. Why are you still looking? It's just like when you stay in a temple and you've been meditating with using that technique of anapanasati, and after 1 year you get bored. So what's the next step? Where am I going from here? I said, you don't have to go anywhere. Keep on. You just keep on. It's just like when you're in Alberta drilling for oil, you drill 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and you drill 5 feet after 1 year, and you said, what is oil? I'm not going to wait until another year. I go into another well. You start to drill another surface. You drill another 5 feet, and you say, I abandon this. You go into another well. You drill 100 wells in your life, and you never got one successful. But if you drill and drill and drill, don't look anywhere. You've got it. Right there. You penetrate it. You persist. That's one of the 6 paramitas, Tolerance, endurances. That's a requirement in Prajna Paramita. Tolerance, endurances. Have you got that? If you haven't got it, You really have to conjure your energy to work at it. To gather your energy and work at it. So, and how does an individual find it or appropriate it? You don't have to find it. You've got it. It's your own mind. You work your own mind. Can I meditate it for you? You say, Reverend Lee, I'm not coming on Sunday. Can you meditate for me? Oh yeah, I can meditate for you. Nobody can meditate it for you. How can I help people to understand about karma? If they would like to be ignorant, sometimes I'm so sorry about it. Well, they have the choice. If they want to be ignorant, then you don't force yourself to convert him. When you talk about the Buddhist teaching to anybody, don't think about converting someone. Think about just giving an opinion on what you think about your own practice. No, sir, I want to convert you into a Buddhist. Don't think about that way, because the time hasn't come for them. If the time hasn't come for them, they cannot do it. There was in the history, in the Chinese history, there was a man who was a minister in the Song Dynasty, and he was involved in fraudery. He was involved in imprisoning a hero and got the hero killed. So he did a lot of bad things. He died, and he went to hell. And then there was a monk. It was written in an essay here. We can research the essay to find out the name of that essay. And then the monk went down, maybe Siddhagarbha Bodhisattva went down to hell to save him, with the intention of saving him. And if anybody can utter a word, a Buddha's name, a seed is planted. Om Mani Padme Hum, a seed is planted in your consciousness. In other words, if somebody told you to do something, if you said this is what you do, and you keyed it in the keyboard, it will be in your memory forever. And when the time comes, that will come out, and then it will start to learn. So in other words, if you come to the temple with no intent, with no attention, and you just come to the temple and heard a monk singing or chanting Namo Amitofo, oh, it's just as interesting. It gets planted in your mind as an energy. Then with that seed, we call it energy seed, it does not matter in which life later in the future, it would sprout. So this monk thought that, okay, that minister was suffering in hell. I wanted to go down to save him. So he had a talk with him, and he said, can you chant Namo Amitofo? So in other words, to plant a seed of Namo Amitofo in that man, in that vicious man who suffered in hell, so that in the future he may get out of hell and he will be a different person. He would go on the enlightenment path. And that man said, I don't like this stuff. If he said, I don't like Namo Amitofo, then that's good enough, because you already uttered the name. But he didn't even utter that name. He just, I don't like that kind of stuff. But if I don't like the Buddha, then he got enlightenment, because that seed is planted in him. Okay, so if someone is ignorant, what can you do? You can't change him. You can change his ignorance. He will suffer. But sometimes if you cannot talk a person into something, but you can influence someone by your own behavior, by your own, for example, if he is your family member, if he knows, although he's ignorant, he does not want to hear you out on Buddhism, but if he knows that since you believe in the Buddhist teaching, you become a different person. You are kind, you are compassionate, you are more considerate than before, you're not yelling as much, you're not egoistic anymore. He saw an abrupt change in you. then he's been influenced. Then he knows, wow, you're a different person. You were not like that before. Oh, honey, you yelled at me before, and how come you're so soft-spoken now? I believe in the Buddha. Oh, yeah, is that right? Then he will change. Right? You change someone by your action, not by words. You want to change someone? Change yourself first. You want to improve someone? Improve yourself first. Okay, that's how you do it. What is the best way to deal with anger? The best way to deal with anger is practice compassion. Always be kind, always think about compassion, being compassionate to others, helpful to others. But when you have anger, you know that this anger will not be helpful to others. If you're angry, you will make that person angry, and that will be incompassionate to him or her. That will make him angry. You're not kind. So you make that person happy. You're always aiming at making people happy, then you will not be angry. Because when you're angry, the respondent would not be happy because you show your angry face.